We're going to jump to this story here, and one of the parts, or one of the mentionable things about this story is the way that Huffington Post framed it and the headline they use. MAGA biggest loser star has meltdown defending white people during CNN slavery talk. Every single thing is like, oh, no, this is all because white people bad, and that's just not the truth. Jillian Michaels told anchor Abby Phillips. Jillian Michaels had been fairly, at least friendly with the progressives until COVID. Yeah. She's one of the people that when COVID hit, she really had an issue with it. So we're going to jump into this here. From the Huffington Post, it's HuffPost, biggest loser coach and Donald Trump supporter. They have to point out that she's a Donald Trump supporter. So that way the reader knows this person is evil. This person is bad.
Set the groundwork.
We framed that this person, you're supposed to dislike what this person says. Biggest loser coach and Donald Trump supporter Jillian Michaels had a stunning meltdown Wednesday night while defending white people during a fiery debate about the president's efforts to rewrite U.S. history. This is in context of just an overall redoing of the way that things with the Smithsonian are framed. And this is something that Donald Trump has talked about, and he ran on this, the framing of history, so that way the United States is a villain in the United States is going to end, and it should end, right? There are plenty of places around the world that hate the United States, right? And there are definitely ways that you can frame arguments to make the United States look bad. But the United States, the American people, should not be funding things that make America out to be the villain of every story.
They shouldn't. And you know what? And
Before we go, let's listen to this piece on CNN. What they're actually referring to here. Okay.
Leader and what the MAGA
Can we address
wants.
Some of those things that are in there? Because have you looked at some of the things that are being reviewed?
Slavery was a bad thing that was to talk about.
Okay.
Like
he's not whitewashing slavery. So
he's not?
He's not. No, okay. He's not. And you cannot tie imperialism and racism and slavery to just one race, which is pretty much what every single exhibit does. But let's talk about the fact that when you
anti-slavery,
let's talk about the fact.
Slavery in America was.
Do you realize that only less than 2% of white Americans owned slaves?
But it was a system of white supremacy.
You realize that slavery is thousands of years old?
White people were
Do you know who was the first race to try to end slavery?
Well,
what's controversial?
I'm very surprised.
This is an extraordinary exercise in historical revisionism.
I'm really surprised.
Revisionism. Do you realize that?
Jillian, I'm surprised that you're trying to litigate who was the beneficiary of slavery and who was not.
What I'm trying to tell you is that
in the context of American history.
Okay.
In the context of American history, what are you saying is incorrect by saying that it was white people oppressing black people?
Every single thing is like, oh, no, this is all because white people bad. And that's just not the truth. Like, for example, every single exhibit, I have a list of every single one. Like, people migrated from Cuba because white people bad.
So, and to her point, we're going to bring up something from the Smithsonian. Now, a lot of people may remember this, but this is a talking point papered or I don't know what it's called, pamphlet or whatever, distributed by the Smithsonian, right, about whiteness and white culture and the things that they were telling people that were going to the Smithsonian, things that were considered bad: rugged individualism, family structure, emphasis on scientific method, Protestant work ethic, religion, Christianity is the norm, anything other than Judeo-Christian tradition is foreign, no tolerance for deviation from single God concept. That is traditionally the way that, not just white people, but white and black people in America. I mean, there's a lot of Southern Baptists that are black, right?
Absolutely.
That's the way that most Americans conceptualize religion. Status, power, and authority. Wealth is worth. Your job is who you are. Respect authority. Heavy value on ownership of goods, space, property. Future orientation. Plan for future. Delayed gratification. Progress is always best. Tomorrow will be better. Time. Follow rigid time schedules.
Oh my God.
Timed views as a commodity. Aesthetics, which 100% based on European culture. Steak and potatoes. Bland is best. I don't know. I don't know about that.
Bland is best. Okay, go ahead.
I don't even know where that comes from.
I don't know.
Like, I know for a fact white people fought tons of wars just for pepper.
Yeah,
so I don't know how that's white.
We just wanted to do it because we could show we could.
Women's beauty based on blonde thin. I don't know about blonde. I mean,
That is.
I do like thin women. I do think that it's good to be thin, to not be overweight. We were just talking about the fact that 75% of Americans are overweight, 50% of Americans are obese. And also heart disease and cancer are the two biggest killers in the United States, and both of them are strongly related to obesity. Holidays, justice based on English common law. There's no debating whether or not the United States laws are based on English common law. Protect property entitlements. If you don't protect property, your society will fall apart. The very foundation of our society is based on property rights, and the very first property that you own is your body and your life. That's why the government can't take your liberty or your property, including your body, from you without due process. Intent counts, so it does matter if you're trying to hurt something or trying to do something good. Competition, winning is important. Winner-loser dichotomy, action orientation, master and control nature, must always do something about a situation. It's a good idea to do things when there's a problem, like do things to fix that. Communication, the King's English rules. Yes, we speak English in the United States, and I think that it should be the only language that any government documents are produced in. Written tradition, avoid conflict and intimacy. I don't know how that's whiteness. Don't show emotion. Stoicism there's some value in it for men, but not for women. Don't discuss personal life. Be polite. That's a good way to not get punched in the face.
I thought the Smithsonian I thought they hated white people.
This is nauseating.
This is something.
This is an outline for how to have a good, productive life, and they're saying that these things are bad.
Yeah. I thought the whole thing was the Smithsonian hated white people. This is like they're glazing us. This is great.
Unstoppable.
No, yeah, like the Jillian, I mean, that aside, like it's beyond. They specifically single out like English, like the Anglosphere. Like they single out Anglo Americans, WASPs, and they single out the British. And who are the two countries that, specifically the British Empire was the first to really abolish slavery, and they fought so many wars to abolish slavery globally, and the Americans spilt 500,000 young men's blood to abolish slavery, and then we're like the only two countries that get singled out for this.
Yeah, more people died at Gettysburg than Americans died in the entire Vietnam War.
Yeah.
54,000 people died.
Yeah, we're like single-handedly held responsible for slavery. It's like we're the reason it's abolished.
It's crazy that slavery, every year, slavery is a hot topic. Yeah. Something that does not exist in America anymore. It is the hottest topic. Every year, it is one of the hottest topics. It has been abolished for I don't know how long, okay? Slavery has been a part of just mankind. It's been around thousands of years.
Still around.
Thousands of years. Yeah. I'm not going to lie. If I was trying to build a country and I didn't have help and I didn't have people wanting to help me and I'm fighting some people, or I know some people there's some slaves that's for sale, I'm buying some slaves to help me build my damn country. That's all I'm saying.
That's kind of
I'm just saying. Like, America needed slaves at the time because they could not. They were not able to slave the Native Americans because the Native Americans, they knew the land. When they would run away, the Europeans don't know where to find them. They don't know where to find Mr. Running with the Wolves. He fast.
He ran with the wolves.
Yeah. And a lot of them, and people don't know this too. I'm from Oklahoma, so we learn a lot about the Native Americans there. Because this Trail of the whole Trail of Tears. Yeah. But anyways, a lot of the Native males did not do crop work. They did not do which women did all the gardening and the cropping. The males were hunters. So it was beneath a lot of them to even plant a tomato. They would rather die. Some of them rather die than to plant a damn tomato, they couldn't slave these Native Americans. Yeah. And the Spaniards, the Spaniards were involved in the slave trade heavily.
Oh yeah.
And they are the ones who introduced the African slaves to the Americans, and they started that whole thing. Why don't y'all just buy them? They already in chains.
There's something like,
and like they are. See, people don't want to talk about this.
It's true.
You're right.
They only blame the English.
We keep talking about who who bought the slaves. Let's talk about who sold the slaves.
Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez should not be talking about
Because AOC, your great grandpappy, was selling slaves. Okay.
There was only like there was like 250,000 slaves in the United States, right? Before the I think before the country.
Like in Haiti and all those.
And people don't even understand this. Black people, there were some black slave owners as well.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And I'm trying to find out actively right now. I'm trying to. Yeah. If y'all don't know, if you're just coming in, my name is Terrence K. Williams. I'm trying to find out if somehow I have an ancestor that used to own slaves, because it could be some money out there for me right now, some inheritance or something, because there were black slave owners. I could come from a black slave owner.
All Harris's
I don't know, because I grew up in foster care, so I don't know all my family history. But there's a possibility that my great grandpappy owned some slaves, and I got some inheritance out there somewhere waiting on me. So if I look like any old black slave owner that you know of, please let me know. I could be entitled to something.
Something like
Anthony Johnson was the first slave owner in the United States. Anthony Johnson was a colonist.
Black dude, right?
Black guy.
Yeah.
What's his last name?
Anthony Johnson.
So there.
I'm kin to some Johnsons. I'm gonna look into that, and I'm gonna put a statue up of my great grandpappy. I don't care if he owns slaves. I'm gonna be proud of my great grandpappy.
There was in
Maybe he
Brazil,
enslaves
there was
some
like
Irish too, and it gets real wild. It's real avant-garde.
there was 5 million slaves in Brazil
It was
alone.
roughly
wow.
5
No,
million.
just in Brazil. And through the whole Spanish colonies, there were slaves. There were slaves in the Caribbean. There were slaves
Everywhere.
all over the place.
It was not an American thing.
No.
And it was and it was normal at the time. People act like Americans invented slavery. Americans may have been the last ones to really do it.
No, because there's still slavery in the Middle East.
There's
There's still slavery
Brazil
in
abolished
Africa.
slavery in the 20th century.
There's still slavery in Africa.
America's one of the I would say this: we are one of the last ones to be. Well, we're the greatest country in the world.
Right, that's why.
To be doing slavery,
Right,
you know.
that's why.
It was the greatest country. But anyways, it was needed at the time. Slavery. Listen, I don't agree with slavery. Period. But it was needed. If it was needed at the time, they needed the slaves. It was normal to them. It was. We're talking about a time. Everybody back in the day was crazy, in my opinion. Everybody of all colors, they were all crazy. I mean, even people back in the day. 500,000 years ago, they were a different breed, you know.
500,000
years. I said 1,000. I said 500 to 1,000 years ago. I mean, these are people who would gather around to watch somebody be executed in public, and and they're like, oh my God,
that guy just got hung.
Hold on, they're picking their kids up to see it. Hold on, honey, you don't want to miss it. He just chopped his head off. Oh my God, that's so great. Oh, today was a great day. Did you miss the public execution? Like I would throw up like watching that, right?
Yeah.
I mean, everybody back then was built differently, and slavery was normal, okay? It was a normal thing. Yeah. But let's stop talking about who bought. Can we talk about it was two parties involved, okay? You can't be mad at the person who bought the slaves only. Be mad at the ones who sold the slaves. It was called the slave trade, not the slave kidnapping, okay?
Yeah.
It's a good point.
It's true.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, and you can see the barbarism on display of like specifically Latin American slavery. You cited that number: 4.8 million slaves were imported to Brazil, African slaves, versus 380,000 imported to the United States.
Yep.
But today, the African descended population in America is 40 million. So 40 million out of 380,000, and in Brazil it's about 110 million out of 4.8 million. So you can see the devastation and the amount of death and churn. Because like in Brazil, unfortunately, they would there's a lot of castration involved, and they didn't view them as like an investment. It was literally just like work until you die. And in America, it was I'm not justifying it, but it's just to like blame America and hold us as like the purest form of evil. And then you can look on the same hemisphere and see like barbarism you wouldn't be able to sleep reading about.
If I could go back and change time, I wouldn't change anything. I don't care if people don't like it. They don't love how the founding fathers built this country, but everything they did led to this being the greatest country in the world, okay? Yeah. The greatest country. And I wouldn't change anything. Because if you change one thing, this would not be the greatest country in the world, okay? And that happens. Sometimes people suffer for the greater good.
Butterfly effect. There's one thing that off slavery, what really got me was individual ruggedism. Is that what it is?
Rugged individualism.
Yeah. Like there are a lot. Hassan al-Wazn, these names are tough. Matthew Henson, Jean Baptiste Point de Sable. Like a lot of
talking about.
These are a lot of black adventurers and rugged individuals who went and adventured and explored the world. Like white people are not the only effing people in the whole history of our country to go out there and explore things and to find things and to make themselves better and make their family better and just live out life and just do things. It's a real mark on the race of black people. Like, oh, you guys never did anything cool. You guys just sat down on your hands all days and you didn't actually go out in the land, but you actually did.
One of the things that's worth noting here, right, is the Protestant work ethic. Yeah, and I think that that is one of the main reasons why the United States is what it is and why the U.S. has been so successful. You see the way that the Protestant work ethic has affected the United States versus all of the, and I know that there are going to be some people that are going to be upset about this, but all the Catholics in South America, right? There's a lot of all of South America. It was heavily influenced by the Catholics because Spain and Portugal had the Catholics, that kind of influence because that's where those colonies were.
Yeah.
The United States was largely influenced by the Protestants because of WASP, white Anglo-Saxon Protestants. And if you look at Northern Europe, you see a similar result because of that work ethic, right? So England, the Scandinavia, a lot of Northern Germany and stuff like that. It's all that same kind of successful societies because of that work ethic. And that's undeniable. And and whether or not people like it has nothing to do with being white because you see a similar work ethic with the Japanese and the Chinese.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And you see like even the rugged individualism, like that stems from Protestantism. That stems from the Puritans. They came over, they were hyper Calvinists because they viewed themselves that they didn't need any intercessor. They viewed themselves as self-reliant on God. They viewed themselves as individual. They didn't need any institution. And that's where the fundamental anti-institutionalism of the United States comes from. That's where that individualism comes from. And you're seeing kind of a denial of that today. But I mean, that's absolutely right, like what you're saying.
Yeah, and not only is it a denial, but it's the total rejection of it, or an attempt at a total rejection.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things that will destroy our society is a rejection of things like hard work, thinking that is not important.
Yeah.
The idea that you don't work now, you can put it off. That's one of the things that built our country, and that's one of the things that you see younger generations getting away from, and that's a terrible thing.
I see it all the time, and you know what? And it's some of the parents' fault too. And I talked about this with some of my family members when I hear some of my young nephews or cousins say, well, I'm only 18. I got time. I can wait to do this and wait to do that. I can't wait to get my life together. I hear people on family, oh, leave him alone. He's just 20. He got time to chase his dreams. He got time to do this. Just let him have fun and party and do that. No, he needs to work. If you're not doing nothing at all, just sitting at home, partying, smoking, drinking, go get a job, work, do something. And then they say, well, we shouldn't even really have to work to have water and electricity when God made light. So why do we got to pay for light? That's so stupid. Like, people don't, a lot of young people don't want to work. And I think it's the fault of some of the parents too.
Sure.
Because they are not instilling that hard work in their children at all. They're not instilling that in his children. And, go to work.
Yeah.
And they're like, when do I got to wake up? Like, oh, can I just wake up when I'm supposed to wake up and go to sleep when I'm supposed to go to sleep? What, you're gonna have no food?
Effing no, you can't.
Yeah.
You're right. You can't you're not going to grow crops. I'm just going to sleep in late, so I'm going to miss these crops this time.
They have
to starve to death.
They just like the work ethic is just like one of my.
Phil just yelled at me.
Yeah, like
no, you can't.
My first foster parent, his name is John Earl Solomon. This man was born in the 1930s. He did not even finish high school. He dropped out so he can help take care of his siblings because his parents, I think they passed away or whatever. So he stepped up to take care of all of his siblings. It was probably about 6 or 7 of siblings. He was working in the cotton fields, working hard, put all of his siblings through college.
Wow.
All of his siblings, and then put all of his children through college. He worked his butt off. He was in the cotton fields. He was working at meat factories, doing lawn work, doing everything he could do, and put all his siblings through college. Also, and put all his kids through college. Got them all and bought them all land and houses. And didn't even have an education at all. Couldn't even read, but he worked his butt off. Wow. If he can do it, these people today have no freaking excuse.
Yeah.
No excuse at all.
That's what I hate most about this modern iteration of American culture is we've lost that sense of. I think this is the most beautiful description of Americans is that we're like temporarily embarrassed millionaires.
Yeah.
All of us in our heads are millionaires. Just some of us aren't quite there yet, and that mentality. It carried us to greatness, and it's getting wiped out in like 2 generations. Tragic.
Yeah.
Nothing about modern American life resembles early America in any meaningful way, and that's devastating. We need to recapture it before it's gone forever.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think that a lot of it has to do with the fact that obviously the 1800s were hard.
Sure.
Right. So until the 1900s, and then
there was a big shakeup in the early 20th century.
Well, and not only that, then you had the Great Depression, which is not just in the U.S., although the U.S. had its fair share of suffering because of it. But those generations that lived through that stuff lived through real hardship, and then after that, there hasn't been significant hardship on the same level since. So the boomers didn't have to deal with it. Yeah. My generation didn't have to deal with significant hardship, and then millennials and Gen Z haven't had to. So there's been no actual contact with what human history was like prior to, say, World War II. Right? The 20th century is steeped in blood. It is an absolute horror show. More people died at the hands of their own governments than any other century in human existence. And since 1940, end of World War II, since 1945, it has been smooth sailing in the United States, generally, right? There are times where you're going to say, oh, this was hard and think there was a recession or whatever. There hasn't been a depression. There hasn't been 20%, 25% unemployment. There hasn't been a massive, even COVID, which, the pandemic, right? Even that wasn't significantly awful.
Yeah, modernity softened the blow.
Yeah.
You just sat at home and watched Netflix and the government sent you checks.
And people did, people weren't dying.
Oh, and people received checks too.
Yeah.
Okay.
That happens in 1920. There's going to be like riots. The whole country burns down. It'd be horrible.
People were not receiving checks in
the Spanish flu.
Right.
A lot of people died, and there were government policies that made it worse. Here, like all of these things that basically reminded society or reminded a people what real human life has been like up until basically 1950. None of the generations since have had to in the West have had to interact with that at all. Human existence has been a slog through mud and suffering and death up until about 1950. And so now we have a society of people, boomers included, that haven't had to deal with real adversity. There are a select few people that have had to deal with hard things in their lives, and most of them have had to go overseas to deal with it. So,
are we screwed?
I mean, to be honest with you, like the whole hard men or soft men create hard times. It's likely that we're in the soft men part creating hard times.
Yeah, well, when you feminize a society, you insulate it from any hardship. I mean, part of the reason you had these massive events taking place before the post-world order was because men were risk takers, and we'd structure our societies and make gambles with our societies in ways that you don't see now, where now it's as careful and calculated as possible. So, okay, I mean, yes, there was these massive blow-ups, the world wars being great examples, but most of these these hardship events that we're referring to were just an outcome of societies that took risks and pushed the envelope forward. And you don't get this 300, 400 years of development that we saw, post Enlightenment, really, without societies at large taking massive gambles. And you're going to get conflict. It's going to happen. It's natural.
Thanks for checking out this clip from Timcast IRL. Make sure to watch the show live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. Subscribe to this channel and and we will see you all there.